Welcome back to another episode of Developing the Leader Within podcast. I'm Enrique, and today I got Nick Nelson with me. I've been waiting a while to talk to this brother, but I finally got him in here, Mr. Brandpreneur himself. Nick, thank you for being with me, man.
Hey, man, I appreciate you, and I appreciate you inviting me, my brother.
Outstanding. Well, folks, we're going to be talking about leadership and brand, and I'm not talking about all these little different silos of what brand is. Nick has an ability to take you from some crazy mess. Let me just say it at that. When they come to you, it's just a crazy mess. They think they are all good and well until you start deep diving out. Nick, I've been looking at all of these videos you've been making, and the end product is just, you talk about a shiny penny, man. You talk about something that's blinging. I just been amazed at what you do. But before we get into all the leadership aspects of branding and all that,
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about you, man, and what you're doing up your way.
Okay. 20 plus year, marketing and advertising executive. Started off in 2001, co-founded a company by the name of Liquid Soul Media. And with that, learned a lot about entertainment marketing because we were an entertainment marketing firm. So we started off doing work with Tyler Perry's House of Pain and Meet the Browns, and then moved over to CNN and worked on their Black in America series, and then ultimately found our way to LA and started working on film and television, more specifically multicultural films or films that were trying to target multicultural audiences. So I learned very on the importance of a few different things. The first is message, understanding what the message is, right? Understanding who you're trying to target and why that's important. Understanding the thing that makes one specific, film or television property different than the other, because on any given weekend, individuals wanted you to go see their flick. They call that being first option. So I also learned the value of relationships, because in doing this and in hyper serving an audience, it takes relationships to do certain things, and was able to make and obtain some valuable relationships that I even have to this day. And it served as a good training ground in terms of developing people. We had, over 40 staffers, et cetera. And when you have that many moving pieces and type of clients, it's a lot. And in 2017, I decided to make a pivot. I said, you know what, I wanted to do something different. My father had passed in 2013. And when he passed, he was a professor at Ohio State University for over 40 years. And people came to his funeral and said how amazing he was and how he had impact on their lives. And I spent and went on a journey of, many different, I'd say about 3 or 4 years trying to figure out, okay, how can I have impact? And so I began to formulate and craft a plan and a strategy to exit. And in 2017, I did that, and that was Brandpreneur. And Brandpreneur really started off as me doing something different. I tell people I was in the middle of a midlife crisis. I'm 45 some odd years old. I'm like, okay, I'm tired. I just want to take headshots of people. But then ultimately, as things happen in entrepreneurship world, you begin saying, well, I'm more than just that. I'm actually a brand strategist. How can I converge the stuff that I do and then develop it for people? And over the course of about 2 to 3 years, I developed a methodology that I still use to this day, that I call my brand clarity methodology. And it works every time. Every time it works, because it really follows a methodology of asking the same questions. But depending upon who's in front of me, they will answer those questions differently. But it's like with anything else, after you do it for a while, you really know what to listen to, and you know when to dive deep and when to pull up. And it becomes one of those things where intuitively, you know what to listen for, and you're able to extract information. Because I tell people, man, a lot of this stuff is already inside of you, but you're too much in your head. You know you too well. You're trying to do too many different things. At the end of the day, a brand is two things. What do you want to be known for, and how do you want to make people feel? And it's being known for one thing. And many great leaders, great professionals, they are great at many different things and find it hard to narrow in on the one. But it's by narrowing in on the one and really fine tuning who your audience is and niching down and solving a problem for them in a very unique way that you really, really begin to add value and have impact and to develop your brand and your reputation.
Yeah, I tell you, I see how you take people when they come to you. You know, this whole, I was kind of careful in my head how I wanted to refer to this because basically it's like being born again.
Right,
You
right,
know,
right, right.
you get these folks come rough around the edges. You just said it perfectly, right? You're too much in your head. You want to you want to be a leader in many aspects
Yeah,
because leadership does require you to be smart on many platforms. But when you talk about yourself, you have to pick what lane you're
you're gonna
gonna
be.
you know you're gonna be in. And so I love how you do that. And I watch these videos all the time, right? So I see when they come in, they're fresh off the plane, and you know, it's just
It's the thing,
nice.
man. It's the thing. Like what I've learned is that there, there's the whole concept of brand day is based off a birthday. And people love a birthday, right? We've we were, you know, from kids, right? You get excited about it. When it's your birthday, it's an exciting day. It's a day everybody's supposed to be nice to you. Everybody's supposed to treat you right and, wish you well and give you gifts, etc. And on your brand day, you're giving yourself your own gift, and it's the gift of self-development. Something that oftentimes as grown folk, we just do not do. Give ourselves the gift of self-development. Give yourself the gift of a new start and doing something new. It's an investment that you've made in yourself and typically is the beginning of a new mindset. See, the image piece is the icing on the cake, but it really is a shift in mindset that is the star of the show. The thing from a marketing standpoint is, and I'm very strategic, you got to reel people in and they got to see something to capture their attention. And when people see other individuals looking good and feeling good and having a great time, it captivates them and it pulls them in. But the real work happens before that. It happens in terms of what are we doing? Who are you doing it for? What are you trying to sell? Everybody is selling something. You're either selling a service, a physical product, digital product, or you're selling yourself or a combination of several different things, right? How are you doing that? Who are you going for? And then ultimately, after your brand day, what are you doing next? Because it's not enough just to take a few pretty pictures and some video and have a great time, right? What is your at a birthday party, people walk away with tchotchkes and stuff, right? And something to walk away with, right? What are you walking away with? And what are you doing to maintain that momentum going forward? And so that's what we begin to talk about. And oftentimes it requires upskilling. So there's an upskilling aspect that, people really don't see that happens because it's required. People don't necessarily, no one teaches you how to use LinkedIn. You do it by trial and error. Nobody even taught you how to do this podcast thing, man. You did it by trial and error. You figured it out. Probably watched some YouTube videos or, saw what other people were doing and developed your own style and say, hey, I'll give it a shot. And that's great. That's great. But sometimes people are like, hey man, if you already know it, just help me figure out my way of doing it. Right. And so that's what we do on the back end after the day in terms of assisting them to do that. So it's a very unique service offering that we provide here. It's not a whole lot. The menu is not very large, man, but it's intentional. There was a place in Tallahassee, Florida, when I went to school at Florida A&M called Guthrie's. Guthrie sold three things. They sold chicken fingers, fries, and coleslaw. Chicken fingers, fries, and coleslaw. With me, you get strategy, you get image development, and then also you get a go to market strategy and plan in terms of how you're going to execute your brand through upskilling, through development. And if you need digital marketing services, we can do that for you as well. So that's it. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. We do that for people. We do that for organizations, but all things people of color who are great at what they do, right? Got to be great at what you do.
Yeah, I fully agree. Now, before we were starting, I told you that leadership seldom takes the opportunity that you mentioned earlier. You know, doing something for you, bringing something that you can take and say, "Look what I got for myself."
Yeah.
And it always baffles me how leaders can give, and it's hard to turn that viewpoint inward so that you can make sure that you're keeping up. A lot of times leaders bring people up and they push them out, they stay behind. And I don't think in any situations that you should be sacrificing yourself to the point where you forget about yourself. A leader needs to know how to not only take care of his people, but more importantly, take care of himself. So why are leaders so apprehensive in venturing down this brand road?
They're apprehensive because it will expose that they don't know everything. It shows the weak spots, man. And people inherently do not, it's uncomfortable when people see that um, there are flaws, right? Leaders don't necessarily like to show the flaws, right? Um, because it becomes, well, what will people think? Will you think less of me? They try to, put on a persona. I tell people that there are beauty in the flaws, right? And you have to understand that you don't know everything and that you have to constantly be upskilling yourself, right? Always be learning something, right? Challenging yourself to do something new or be better, right? Um, we should always be seeking to be better in something, right? And the more you are able to master the art of online, the art of leadership, the more you embrace the fact that you should seek wise counsel from people, that you should have a tribe of individuals that you can learn from. You shouldn't be the smartest person in the room all the time, right? Who is influencing you? You shouldn't be the only person influencing someone. Who's filling up your cup, right? These are things that as leaders we have got to take into consideration and look at, because if we don't, we'll find ourselves becoming stagnant, right? And not moving forward, right? We're standing in one place. And it's hard to lead if you are in one place, because ultimately other people will get ahead of you and you'll find out that you're no longer leading, you're actually left behind, right? And so that's why it's very important for leaders to take stock into where they are, where they're going, and what are the gaps. What are the gaps that need to be filled? And then be proactive in filling them.
Now I see a big array of professionals that come to you. You got veterans, you have lawyers, you have bankers, you have business owners, entrepreneurs. I mean, I've seen a host of educators. I mean, everybody that come to you has different background. But what may be something that's similar that you see across the board when they get to me? This is usually something I have to, work at. Yeah.
Yeah. They don't know the impact of their story. So the biggest thing that I see being the challenge is when I ask this question, all right, we understand what you do. We understand who you do it for. I understand the problem that you solve. What makes you so special? What makes you so different? Right. And that's where they get stumped. They're like, man, I don't know. I don't know what makes me different. I don't know what makes me special. I don't know what my angle is. That's where I come in. What we do is we look at their story. What everything, your whole angle and how you position yourself is based off of your story. But many times you don't think about that, because how often do we go back and revisit our story, right? We don't think about what it took to get there. We don't think about our childhood that often, right? But that's the key. That's the key, especially between the ages of 10 and 15 during your wonder years. That's when your character is being built. That's when what you're passionate about is being, you know, developed. And that's why exposure is so important during those time spans. So we take some time to take a look at that, and I help you create that unique offering, that unique messaging, that unique thing that will differentiate you and help to get you noticed out there in the marketplace. And that is what we bring.
Now, short of, because we're going to offer this here in a little while, I'm going to let you express how people can get a hold of you for your services. But short
Sure.
of a person, signing up with Nick right now, today, what can leaders do to start getting into the frame of mind that brand is key, that brand is important?
What they first thing they can do is acknowledge that they are a brand. Nike says, if you have a body, you're an athlete. That's Nike's whole thing. If you have a body, you're an athlete. If you have a name, you are a brand, right? You want to know how I know? Because Google tells me. I could put your name in Google right now and see what comes up. If I really even want to get more granular, I can put in military, I can put in where you live, right? Next thing you know, stuff that you didn't even know that was out there is out there. And then I begin the process of being judgmental, right? Based off of what I see, I begin to judge. Um, are you qualified? What do you do? Are you important? Are you a mess? Right? What is it about you? Right. And then I begin to make a determination. Do I like you? Do I like you? Once I make that determination, I make the determination, do I wish to engage with you? Engaging is simple as, hey, I'm going to connect with you on LinkedIn. Or I'm going to follow you. I'm going to like your post. Oh my God, I might even make a comment. Then ultimately, do I want you? And that's called call to action. That is shooting them a direct message. Hey, I'd love to have some coffee sometime, or I'd love to get a chance to, talk offline, etc. Right. But you have to understand that it all starts with awareness. And the first thing people look at is Google. But if you have a name, if you have a name, I have never met anyone, Enrique, that has not had a name. Everybody has had a name that I've met, right? My name is fill in the blank. Then, if you have a name, you, my friend, have a brand.
Well, you heard it, leaders, all of you that are trying to figure this thing out. Your name is where it starts. Start figuring out that story. That story is very important. And I'm going to get into this right now, Nick. If someone was looking to get, that service that you provided, and
Mhm.
and folks, for it may not be a long list of service like Nick said, but let me tell you, just go ahead and look at some of his videos and figure out if the quality is not there by the time you're done. I've seen Nick transform folks, uh, just amazing, and I'm always clapping for those things. But leaders, if you want to get a hold of Nick, and Nick, if they want to get a hold of you, how would they do that?
Yeah, all day brandpreneur.com. I spell it differently. I spell it UER as opposed to EUR. So I'll tell you, if you've spelled it wrong, you've spelled it right. Okay. So brandpreneur, also brandpreneur on Instagram, and then Nick F. Nelson on LinkedIn, or you can just do hashtag brandpreneur on within LinkedIn and you'll find me.
Outstanding. Well, folks, I'll tell you that you won't be disappointed for reaching out to Nick. Thank you, brother, for taking your time to be with us
Man,
today.
brother, it's my honor, and happy belated Veterans Day to you, my friend. Thank you for everything that you do. Thank you for your service to our country, and you just being the incredible encourager that you are, my brother.
I appreciate you.
Yes,
Folks,
sir.
you know how we like to end this show? Success to you.